In a world of noise and distraction, there is one place where wisdom still whispers, where voices of greatness echo through time. Welcome to the Motivational Library.
Before any achievement becomes visible in the world, it is first constructed in silence. Every empire, invention, career, and fortune begins its life in the unseen workshop of the mind. Long before results appear, a pattern of thought takes form, held with enough clarity, consistency, and conviction to cross the threshold from imagination into reality. This is not abstract philosophy, nor is it motivational ornamentation. It is the operating principle behind all human progress. Civilizations rise, industries are built, and individual lives are transformed not by chance, but by alignment with a set of laws that govern creation itself. More than a century ago, an unassuming American thinker, Wallace D. Wattles, articulated one such law with remarkable precision. He proposed that wealth is not the result of luck, privilege, or exploitation, but of thinking and acting in harmony with certain mental and spiritual principles. Principles as reliable and exact as gravity. His work did not promise shortcuts or miracles. It offered something far more enduring, a method rooted in clarity, purpose, and disciplined consistency. Wattles wrote from experience, not theory. He studied struggle, observed success, and distilled his understanding into a system accessible to anyone willing to apply it. The reason his message has survived across generations is simple. It works, not because it flatters the ego, but because it addresses the source of all outcomes, the way a human being thinks, decides, and acts. This book is not a repetition of that message, but its evolution. The law behind every fortune is a modern interpretation of an ancient truth, refined for a world overwhelmed by distraction, noise, and silent frustration. Today, many people work harder than ever while feeling further behind. The confusion is new. The law is not. The principles of wealth creation are timeless. They existed long before modern economies and will remain long after them. A person becomes prosperous by thinking and acting in a certain deliberate way. That way is learnable. It is repeatable. And once understood, it changes everything. In the pages that follow, you will discover why wealth is always a mental structure before it is a financial one. You will learn why opportunity is not something you wait for, but something you generate. You will understand why the competitive mindset restricts growth, while the creative mindset multiplies it. You will learn the difference between movement and meaningful action, the kind of action that transforms ordinary days into foundations for extraordinary outcomes. You will also see how gratitude sharpens awareness, how clarity stabilizes effort, and how disciplined thought reshapes circumstance. Most importantly, you will come to understand that the desire for a richer, fuller life is not selfish, it is natural. Life seeks expansion through you. Wealth is simply one expression of that expansion. This book does not ask you to wish or to hope. It asks you to understand and then to act. As you move through it, you will realize that these principles extend far beyond money. They shape identity, habits, relationships, leadership, and personal power. They explain why some individuals progress steadily, while others remain trapped in cycles of effort without advancement. By the end, you will not merely know how fortunes are built. You will understand the law behind them. You will learn how to command your thinking, direct your energy, and align your actions with outcomes that compound over time. And you will recognize that the greatest fortune is not what you accumulate, but the ability to create deliberately, confidently, and repeatedly the life you choose. Now let us begin. Let us examine the law behind every fortune. Chapter 1. The Right to be Rich. There is a truth so fundamental that when it is misunderstood, entire lives are quietly constrained by it. When it is understood, lives expand with certainty and direction. The truth is this: every person has the natural right to be rich. not as a privilege granted to a few, not as a reward reserved for the fortunate, and not as an accident of birth, luck, or circumstance. The right to be rich exists because the desire for expansion is woven into the nature of life itself. To understand this right, we must first understand what it means to be human. Life does not seek stagnation. It seeks expression, growth, and fuller realization. This impulse can be seen everywhere, in nature, in progress, in invention, and in personal ambition. A seed does not apologize for becoming a tree. A river does not hesitate to widen its reach. In the same way, a human being is designed to seek more capacity, more freedom, and more creative power. When you desire more opportunity, more security, more influence, more room to become who you are capable of being, it is not greed speaking. It is life itself moving through you, urging expansion. Yet for generations, this natural impulse has been misunderstood and suppressed. Many have been taught that wanting wealth is somehow impure, that ambition must be restrained, that a modest life of limitation is morally superior to one of abundance. This belief has done more damage to human potential than any external obstacle ever could. Poverty does not elevate character. Struggle is not a virtue. Limitation does not refine the soul. A person has the right to be rich because they have the right to live fully. A life constrained by constant financial pressure leaves little room for creativity, clarity, or contribution. When survival consumes attention, growth becomes impossible. When all energy is spent enduring, none remains for becoming. Wealth, in its truest sense, is not excess. It is capacity. It is the condition that allows talent to mature, ideas to manifest, and purpose to be expressed. It provides time to think, space to grow, and freedom to choose. Without it, the mind contracts, the spirit strains, and potential remains unrealized. What people truly desire is not money itself. Money is only the instrument. What is sought is a broader life, one with comfort instead of constant tension, direction instead of confusion, and contribution instead of constraint. Money simply enables these states to exist. Some argue that one should pursue only spiritual or intellectual riches, as if material sufficiency and inner development cannot coexist. This is a false division. Human beings are not fragments. We are whole. Mind, body, and spirit require harmony to function at their highest level. Material resources are not opposed to growth. They support it. You have the right to be rich because your fulfillment requires it. It is also essential to understand that wealth is not finite. One person's success does not diminish another's opportunity. The belief that the world offers a fixed amount of wealth, that one person's gain must come at another's loss, is one of the most damaging illusions ever accepted. The universe is not static. It is creative and expanding. New ideas generate new industries. New solutions create new markets. New value brings new wealth into existence. Wealth is not seized from others. It is created by those who think, act, and build in alignment with growth. Abundance is not a moral judgment. It is a matter of alignment. Those who think clearly, act deliberately, and move consistently toward expansion rise naturally, not because the world favors them, but because they are cooperating with the fundamental law of life: increase. When you consciously accept your right to be rich, a profound shift occurs. Your mind moves from resignation to possibility. You begin to see opportunity where you once saw limitation. You stop resisting circumstances and begin shaping them. You no longer wait for permission to advance. To deny your right to wealth is to deny your potential. It is to resist the very force that seeks expression through you. A person who believes they must remain small, struggling, or unseen is not virtuous. They're simply misinformed. The truth is unmistakable. You're meant to grow. You're meant to expand. You're meant to rise. Wealth is not separate from this process. It is part of it. Your desire for a richer life is not a flaw to be corrected. It is a signal to be understood, a quiet announcement that your capacity is larger than your current circumstances. Honor that signal. Listen to it. Accept the reality many hesitate to claim. You have the right to be rich. Nothing in the universe opposes that right, except doubt within your own mind. Now that this right has been established, we can move forward. In the next chapter, we will examine the law that transforms this right from an idea into a lived reality. Chapter 2. The exact science of wealth. Many people take comfort in the belief that wealth is unpredictable, that it arrives by chance, favors a fortunate few, or depends on circumstances beyond individual control. This belief is appealing because it removes responsibility. If wealth is random, then failure requires no explanation. But history does not support this illusion. Again and again, individuals with no special advantages, no powerful connections, and no remarkable beginnings have risen to extraordinary levels of prosperity. They did not share the same backgrounds, talents, or opportunities, but they shared something far more important: alignment with the same underlying principles. Their success was not accidental. It was lawful. Wealth follows laws, precise, dependable, and universal. These laws operate whether one believes in them or not, just as gravity functions regardless of opinion. When understood and applied, they produce results with the same reliability as any principle in physics or mathematics. As surely as heat expands matter or electricity follows a conductor, the mind that thinks and acts in a certain way moves steadily toward prosperity. This is what Wallace D. Wattles described as the science of getting rich. Not a metaphor, not a motivational concept, a science, a repeatable process governed by cause and effect. To understand this science, one misconception must be dismantled immediately. Wealth is not limited. The world does not operate on a fixed supply of riches. Wealth is not a static treasure chest waiting to be divided. Every day, new industries emerge, new technologies are developed, new needs arise, and new solutions are created. Wealth expands as human creativity expands. It is generated, not rationed. In such a world, anyone can rise, provided they operate in harmony with the principles that govern increase. The first principle is simple, yet profound. Your thoughts shape your environment, not in a vague or mystical sense, but in a practical, observable way. Thought determines perception. Perception determines behavior. Behavior determines results. A person who thinks in terms of growth notices opportunities invisible to a mind dominated by fear. A person who expects progress moves differently than one who expects limitation. A person with clear purpose acts with a certainty that naturally attracts cooperation, ideas, and momentum. Every action begins as a thought. Every achievement begins as a mental image. Every fortune begins as a decision. The mind is the architect of wealth long before wealth becomes visible. But thought alone is insufficient. The science of wealth demands alignment between thought and action, action taken in a specific, deliberate manner. Many people work relentlessly, yet remain trapped in the same financial position because their actions lack direction. They act reactively instead of creatively. They act from fear, pressure, or comparison rather than from clarity. Their effort may be constant, but it is inefficient. This science makes a crucial distinction. Busy action does not create wealth. Efficient action does. Efficient action arises from clarity, purpose, and belief. It is calm rather than frantic, focused rather than scattered, intentional rather than compulsive. It converts time into progress and effort into measurable results. It transforms ordinary moments into foundational steps toward prosperity. When thought and action align in this way, a person enters harmony with the expanding nature of life itself. They begin thinking from possibility instead of limitation. They act from purpose rather than anxiety. As a result, they naturally attract resources, insights, and individuals aligned with their direction. This is not magic. It is the natural consequence of disciplined thinking and purposeful behavior. Another principle of this science is equally essential. You do not get rich by taking from others. You get rich by creating more value than you consume. Wealth multiplies through creation, not competition. When you create something of value, whether a product, service, idea, or solution, you contribute to the expanding fabric of prosperity. The world consistently rewards those who add more than they subtract. This understanding frees you from the fear that someone else's success diminishes your own. A competitive mindset sees life as a crowded room with limited seats. A creative mindset sees life as an open landscape with unlimited space to build. Competition may produce temporary gains. Kreation builds enduring wealth. The science of wealth rests on this fundamental truth. The universe is designed to expand, and wealth is one expression of that expansion through human intelligence and effort. When your thoughts, beliefs, and actions align with expansion, you move with the natural current of increase, and progress becomes inevitable. Do not confuse this with wishful thinking or blind optimism. This science demands discipline. It requires control of thought, mastery of emotion, and deliberate action, even when results are not immediately visible. It demands consistency, persistence, and trust in principles rather than circumstances. The reward, however, is extraordinary. The ability to shape your financial destiny through understanding instead of chance. Wealth is not reserved for the few. It is the predictable outcome of obeying the laws that govern growth. And now that you understand that such a science exists, you have stepped out of uncertainty and into power. In the next chapter, we will explore one of the most critical distinctions in this entire philosophy, the difference between the competitive mind and the creative mind. Chapter 3. The creative mind and the competitive mind. Every individual who seeks wealth must confront a fundamental choice, whether they recognize it or not. Will you operate from a competitive mind, or will you operate from a creative mind? This single decision determines not only how wealth enters your life, but whether it can remain and grow. Most people function from the competitive mind by default. They assume resources are limited. They believe opportunity is scarce. They view success as a contest in which one person's advancement requires another's loss. This belief system quietly governs their behavior, shaping their decisions, their emotions, and their results. A competitive mindset breeds tension. It produces anxiety, comparison, and constant vigilance. Attention is directed outward, toward rivals, trends, threats, and perceived disadvantages. Progress becomes reactive rather than intentional. Even when success is achieved, it feels unstable because it depends on defending position rather than expanding capacity. Competition can create motion, but it cannot create peace. It may produce temporary gains, but it does not produce enduring wealth. The creative mind operates from an entirely different understanding. It recognizes that the world is not closed, but expanding. New ideas are continuously forming. New needs are emerging. New solutions are waiting to be imagined. Wealth is not taken from a fixed supply. It is generated through creative contribution. When you create something of value, you do not diminish what exists. You increase it. You expand the total field of wealth and claim your place within it by offering more than you consume. This is why creation always surpasses competition. Competition rearranges wealth. Creation multiplies it. Operating from the creative mind releases you from the exhausting habit of comparison. You stop measuring yourself against others and begin measuring your progress against your own potential. Your focus shifts from protecting territory to building value, from reacting to inventing, from fearing loss to expanding contribution. The competitive mind looks outward for permission. The creative mind looks inward for direction. The competitive mind asks, what are others doing? The creative mind asks, what can I bring into existence? The competitive mind is fueled by fear. Fear of falling behind, fear of being replaced, fear of missing out. The creative mind is fueled by purpose. It moves with confidence, not because outcomes are guaranteed, but because direction is clear. Wattles emphasized that lasting wealth can never be built on the competitive plane. Even when you operate within a competitive environment, your thinking must remain creative. You must refuse to believe that your destiny is controlled by others. You must reject the idea that opportunity can be taken from you. What is truly yours cannot be stolen. What is not meant for you should not be pursued. When you shift from competition to creation, a quiet transformation takes place. You stop fearing the success of others. Instead, you recognize it as evidence of abundance. You stop fixating on what you lack and begin working intelligently with what you have. The creative mind is generous, not from obligation, but from understanding. It knows that value given returns multiplied. When your work improves lives, solves problems, or advances understanding, the world responds with cooperation, opportunity, and reward. This is why creatively minded individuals often appear to attract success with ease. Their lives are not free from obstacles, but their relationship to obstacles is different. They approach challenges with imagination rather than fear. They seek solutions instead of escape. They move forward while others hesitate. The creative mind communicates strength without aggression, ambition without envy, and progress without conflict. It builds doors instead of guarding walls. In doing so, it naturally rises above those who exhaust themselves trying to outperform, outmaneuver, or outshine everyone else. The competitive mind insists there is not enough. The creative mind understands there is always more to create. This distinction changes everything. To operate from the creative mind requires a deliberate discipline. Refuse to view yourself as limited by external conditions. You are constrained only by your willingness to think creatively. The success of others does not block your path. Economic shifts do not define your future. Difficult circumstances do not imprison you. The creative mind sees every challenge as raw material. Every obstacle becomes an invitation to innovate. Every limitation becomes a prompt for higher thinking. When you abandon competition and commit to creation, you step onto a higher plane of thought and action. On this plane, wealth is no longer something you chase or defend. It becomes the natural result of increasing your value. True prosperity does not come from defeating others. It comes from becoming more capable, more effective, and more valuable than you were yesterday. In the next chapter, we will explore the instrument through which all creation begins, the mental image, the inner blueprint from which every achievement takes form. Chapter 4. The Power of the Mental Image. Every advancement in human history began as a picture held in the mind of a single individual. Before a structure rises, it is seen. Before a business exists, it is envisioned. Before a breakthrough is achieved, it is first recognized internally by someone willing to see beyond the present. The mind always creates the blueprint before the world produces the result. This is not a metaphor. It is a law. Your mental image sets the boundaries of your life. You cannot rise beyond what you can clearly imagine, and you cannot create what you have not first learned to see. Yet most people move through life without a defined vision. They hope things improve. They wish for success. They work tirelessly, but without direction. Hope is not a blueprint. Wishes have no structure. Effort without vision produces exhaustion, not progress. To live deliberately, you must hold a clear and intentional mental image of the life you intend to build. This image is not fantasy, and it is not escape. It is a tool, the most powerful instrument the human mind possesses. When you create a mental image, you are not daydreaming. You are programming direction. You are establishing the coordinates that guide your decisions, your habits, and your expectations. The mind instinctively works to align the outer world with the inner picture. When the image is unclear, life becomes unstable. When the image is precise, action becomes decisive. This is why those who advance rapidly do not simply react to circumstances. They project themselves forward and then lie from that projection. They hold a picture so steadily that their behavior reorganizes around it. Their choices sharpen. Their discipline strengthens. Their opportunities begin to align. The power of the mental image does not lie in imagination alone, but in sustained imagination. Anyone can visualize success briefly. Few can hold the vision consistently. The mind must be trained to return to the image repeatedly, regardless of temporary setbacks or contradictory appearances. Circumstances change daily. A vision held with conviction reshapes identity. Your mental image must be specific. Do not say, "I want a better life." Better how? In what form? With what standards? The mind does not respond to vague requests. It responds to clear instruction. Define the life you intend to live. How do you work? How do you think? How do you move through your day? What level of excellence do you accept as normal? Who are you becoming? You are not imagining a distant dream. You are designing the framework into which your future will form. But clarity alone is not enough. A mental image becomes powerful only when paired with calm, unwavering confidence. Not emotional excitement. Not blind optimism. A steady, rational certainty that the image you hold is appropriate and attainable for you. You do not need to know how it will unfold. You only need to refuse contradiction. Doubt is the great disruptor. It fractures the image, weakens the blueprint, and scatters focus. Doubt asks, "What if this isn't meant for me?" Confidence states, "This is the direction of my life." These two internal positions lead to entirely different outcomes. When you hold a mental image with composed certainty, something inevitable begins to occur. Your behavior shifts. Your perception sharpens. Opportunities become visible that were once overlooked. You respond differently to challenges. You speak differently. You carry yourself differently. Your environment adjusts because you have adjusted. This is not mysticism. It is psychology in motion. Thought directs emotion. Emotion influences behavior. Behavior creates results. When the inner picture and outer action align, progress accelerates naturally. Your mental image is not fixed. It expands as you expand. As you begin to embody the person in your vision, the image refines itself. It becomes stronger, more detailed, more demanding. Each forward step reinforces the blueprint. Eventually, you realize you're no longer pursuing the image. You are becoming it. If your current life does not yet resemble your vision, do not retreat. The image is not a reflection of where you are. It is a declaration of where you are going. Hold it firmly. Return to it daily. Think from it before you live it. There's a governing law behind all creation. The image precedes the form. What you repeatedly hold in your mind becomes the pattern your reality follows. In the next chapter, we will examine the forces that preserve this inner blueprint: faith, purpose, and disciplined focus, and why without them, even the clearest vision cannot survive. Chapter 5. Faith, Purpose, and Steady Focus. A clear mental image is the blueprint of your future, but a blueprint alone builds nothing. It must be supported, reinforced, and held in place by inner forces that determine whether your vision becomes reality or fades into wishful thought. Those forces are faith, purpose, and steady focus. Together, they form the internal engine that converts thought into achievement. Faith, the strength of certainty. Faith is one of the most misunderstood words in human language. Here, it does not mean blind optimism or emotional hope. Faith is a calm, rational certainty that the image you hold has the right to exist, and that you have the capacity to bring it into form. Faith is the absence of internal contradiction. Most people fail not because they lack intelligence, opportunity, or effort, but because they fracture their direction. They move forward and backward at the same time. They desire one outcome while expecting another. They ask for progress while rehearsing disappointment. Doubt is not harmless. It is the great neutralizer. It weakens clarity, erodes confidence, and distorts the mental image your mind is trying to preserve. Faith, by contrast, stabilizes direction. It anchors thought so it does not collapse at the first sign of resistance. With faith, challenges become adjustments, not threats. Setbacks become information, not judgment. You remain steady because you trust the long arc of your vision more than the short-term movement of circumstance. Purpose, the reason you do not quit. Faith cannot stand alone. It must be joined with purpose. Purpose answers the essential question, why must this vision exist? Without purpose, desire fades. Discipline weakens. Effort becomes inconsistent. But when purpose is clear, direction becomes unshakable. Purpose is not a vague wish. It is the recognition of a direction that aligns with your growth. A direction that feels necessary, not because it is easy, but because it is true. When you act from purpose, you're not driven by pressure or impulse. You move from inner alignment. You understand that your life is meant to expand, and that your vision is an expression of that expansion. A person guided by purpose may not always know the next step, but they never lose sight of the destination. That alone is enough to continue. Purpose gives meaning to discipline. It turns ordinary actions into deliberate progress. It strengthens resolve when motivation fades and sharpens discernment against distractions that promise speed but deliver stagnation. Steady focus, the power of direction. Even with faith and purpose, success requires one more discipline: steady focus. The mind is powerful, but easily scattered. Modern life is saturated with noise, opinions, urgency, fear, comparison, and endless distraction. Without focus, energy fragments. Effort thins. People begin much and complete little. Steady focus is the daily discipline of returning attention to what matters most. It is the practice of feeding your mental image, reinforcing your purpose, and silencing the inner static that breeds confusion. Focus does not mean ignoring life. It means ensuring that the dominant thought governing your mind remains aligned with your chosen direction. Focus creates momentum. Momentum creates progress. Progress builds confidence. Confidence strengthens faith. This cycle becomes powerful once established, but must be built intentionally. Steady focus also requires unity of thought. You cannot pursue success while rehearsing failure. You cannot aim for wealth while entertaining beliefs in scarcity. You cannot commit to growth while imagining decline. The mind produces best when given a single clear command. When your thoughts are unified, your actions become efficient. When your actions are efficient, progress becomes measurable. Faith says, it is possible. Purpose says, it is necessary. Focus says, I will stay the course. Together, these forces transform your mental image from a distant idea into a living influence, shaping your habits, refining your behavior, and directing your results. Understand this clearly. The world does not respond to vague desire. It responds to consistent intention. When your inner world is organized around a single direction, your outer world begins to organize itself accordingly. Opportunities, people, and resources appear, not because they were absent before, but because your mind is now aligned to recognize and receive them. Your vision is the seed. Faith is the soil. Purpose is the nourishment. Focus is the sunlight that draws it upward. With these forces working together, growth becomes natural. Outcomes become predictable. Success becomes a matter of persistence and alignment, not chance or hope. In the next chapter, we will examine a principle that amplifies all three of these forces: gratitude, the quiet state that aligns the mind with increase and prevents it from drifting into doubt or fear. Chapter 6. Gratitude, the expanding force. There is a law in the realm of thought as exact and reliable as any law of physics. The mind cannot move confidently toward what it desires while dwelling on what it fears or resents. Expansion and contraction cannot occupy the same space. The mind must incline toward one or the other. Gratitude is the mental state that commits you to expansion. Gratitude is not politeness. It is not a fleeting emotional response to favorable conditions. It is a discipline, a deliberate decision to direct attention toward sufficiency, possibility, and increase. It is the antidote to doubt that weakens purpose and the cure for fear that fragments focus. Gratitude anchors the mind to a single truth. Life is not static. It is unfolding, and you're a part of that unfolding. To understand the power of gratitude, observe the mind when it is absent. Without gratitude, attention drifts toward dissatisfaction. What is missing becomes louder than what is present. Obstacles grow large. Opportunities fade into the background. Even abundance begins to feel scarce. This state pulls the mind off the creative plane and drags it into competition, complaint, and resentment. From this position, nothing new can be built. One can only react. Wattles understood this clearly. He taught that gratitude keeps the mind connected to the source of all increase. It maintains awareness that opportunity is not rare. It is continuous. Gratitude directs attention toward better conditions before they appear, which is why it is not merely a response to good fortune. It is a cause of it. When the mind rests gratefully on the expectation of increase, thinking rises to meet that expectation. Action follows. Results shift. Gratitude is also practical. It protects the mind. Each time you choose gratitude, you close the door to fear, envy, criticism, and discouragement. These states cannot coexist with genuine appreciation and expectation of good. Gratitude neutralizes negativity before it can take root. It performs another essential function. It keeps you aligned with your vision. Gratitude dissolves resistance to the present moment. Resistance creates tension. Gratitude creates alignment. And only an aligned mind can sustain a clear image of the future. Many misunderstand this and believe gratitude requires pretending everything is perfect. It is not. Gratitude does not deny difficulty. It refuses to elevate it. It says, yes, challenges exist, but I trust the process of increase. This posture allows you to acknowledge where you are without becoming imprisoned by it. A grateful mind becomes resilient, not because life becomes effortless, but because the mind becomes steady. Instead of reacting to circumstances, you remain centered. Instead of scattering energy, you preserve clarity. Gratitude creates stability, and stability is the foundation of all creation. Think of gratitude as a magnetic field. When maintained consistently, it draws thought, behavior, opportunity, and circumstance into alignment with growth. It reinforces faith, strengthens purpose, and sharpens focus. Without gratitude, these qualities weaken. With gratitude, they multiply. There is a higher form of gratitude that carries exceptional power, gratitude for the future. To be thankful for what you have is wise. To be thankful for what you are becoming is transformative. When you express gratitude for the realization of your vision before it appears in physical form, you train the mind to accept that vision as natural. You dissolve the inner conflict between desire and belief. You create an internal environment where success feels inevitable rather than improbable. This is not delusion. It is preparation. A builder feels the satisfaction of completion before the first brick is laid. A musician senses the performance before stepping onto the stage. The mind must experience the conclusion before the body can execute the process. Like all disciplines, gratitude must be practiced. A few moments each morning or evening spent acknowledging progress, purpose, and possibility can redirect the course of an entire day. Over time, gratitude becomes a permanent state, an unbroken awareness that life is expanding and that you are expanding with it. The purpose of gratitude is simple: to keep the mind aligned with increase. For where the mind consistently rests, life inevitably follows. In the next chapter, we will examine how to think from this position of expansion, how to think in this certain way so that thought itself becomes a creative force shaping your destiny. Chapter 7. Thinking in a certain way. To act in a certain way is to translate disciplined thought into deliberate movement. Thought without action is potential unrealized. Action without aligned thought is effort wasted. The certain way demands that both move together, reinforcing one another with precision and purpose. Most people confuse motion with progress. They stay busy, exhausted, and distracted, yet remain unchanged. The certain way rejects frantic activity. It insists on efficient action, action guided by vision, clarity, and timing. Every step taken must serve the larger direction you have chosen. Anything else is noise. Efficient action begins with attentiveness. When your mind is aligned, you become sensitive to opportunity. You notice openings others overlook. You recognize when to move and when to wait. This is not hesitation. It is intelligence. The person who thinks in a certain way does not rush blindly. They move decisively when the moment arrives. Action taken from a certain way is calm, not desperate. Desperation signals doubt. Calm action signals confidence. When you trust the unfolding of your vision, you no longer feel the need to force outcomes. You act where you are, with what you have, guided by the next clear step, not the entire staircase. This is crucial. The certain way never asks you to see the whole path. It asks you to take the next effective action. Progress is built through accumulation, not leaps. A single aligned action taken daily will outperform sporadic bursts of intensity fueled by emotion. Another principle governs action in a certain way. Do not act from fear. Fear-driven action is reactive. It seeks escape, not creation. It chooses urgency over wisdom. The certain way refuses this. It acts from intention, not avoidance. From purpose, not panic. As you act consistently from this state, your confidence deepens. Not because results arrive instantly, but because your identity changes. You begin to see yourself as a person who moves deliberately toward what they choose. This self-image becomes a powerful force. Behavior stabilizes. Discipline strengthens. Momentum builds. There is also a moral dimension to action in a certain way. Your actions must aim to create value, not merely extract it. Increase that comes at the expense of others is unstable. Increase that benefits others multiplies. When your work contributes, solves, improves, or elevates, you align with forces that sustain growth over time. Do not wait for perfect conditions. They do not exist. The certain way teaches that conditions improve after action, not before it. Clarity follows movement. Confidence follows commitment. Strength follows use. When thought and action are unified, resistance weakens. Inner conflict dissolves. You no longer argue with yourself about what must be done. You simply do it, repeatedly, calmly, consistently. This is how ordinary days become extraordinary foundations. This is how vision becomes structure. This is how the invisible becomes visible. In the next chapter, we will examine the discipline that protects all progress. The ability to maintain momentum, guard focus, and prevent regression as your life begins to change. Because creation is not only about beginning, it is about continuing until the result is complete. Chapter 8. Acting in a certain way, turning vision into reality. Thinking in a certain way sets the blueprint of your future. But a blueprint alone does not build a life. Thought without action is potential trapped in your mind. Action is the bridge between the invisible and the visible, the method by which your vision takes form. Yet not all action is equal. Not all effort produces progress. To act in a certain way is an art, a discipline, and a cornerstone of the science of getting rich. Most people confuse motion with progress. They stay busy, exhausted, and distracted, yet nothing changes. The certain way rejects frantic effort and wasted toil. It demands efficient action, doing exactly what must be done in the right way at the right moment. Nothing more, nothing less. Start where you are. Many waste energy wishing for a different job, city, or circumstance. They postpone action until conditions improve. But here is the truth. Your rise begins exactly where you stand. Your present moment holds everything you need to take the next step. Action is always possible. Progress is always available if you choose to see it. Acting in a certain way rests on 3 pillars: clarity, excellence, and immediacy. Clarity means knowing precisely what your vision demands today, not someday, but now. Identify the decisions, actions, and tasks that push you forward. Most people fill their days with work that does not matter. The certain way asks one question every morning: what can I do today that moves me closer to the life I am creating? Then do that first, relentlessly. Excellence means doing everything with mastery, not for praise, not for approval, but because quality attracts opportunity. Ordinary actions done exceptionally well become the foundation of extraordinary results. Excellence signals to yourself and to the world that you are ready for more. It trains your mind, elevates your standards, and magnetizes growth. Immediacy is the refusal to procrastinate. The certain way does not delay, debate, or stall. If it must be done, it must be done now. Immediacy is decisive, not frantic. It builds confidence, preserves momentum, and prevents doubt from creeping in. When clarity, excellence, and immediacy combine, your days transform. Energy becomes focused. Effort becomes meaningful. Every action aligns with your vision. You no longer drift, guess, or scatter yourself across trivialities. Every step moves you forward with intent. But acting in a certain way also demands faith, gratitude, and calmness. Your actions must be guided by the unshakable belief that your vision is already forming, even before evidence appears. Without this, effort becomes mechanical or fearful. With it, effort becomes creative, powerful, and magnetic. Calmness is strength. Desperation weakens action. Certainty empowers it. Calm, deliberate action enables you to perform at your best, think clearly, and attract favorable results. It is the hallmark of those who rise steadily, without chaos, without panic. Acting in a certain way also means rejecting competition. You do not rise by pushing others down. You rise by becoming more valuable, more skilled, more aligned with increase. Your actions must reflect expansion, not scarcity. And above all, persistence is essential. The seed grows roots long before it breaks the soil. Your efforts may remain unseen for a time, but steady, disciplined action compounds quietly until your vision bursts into reality. You cannot control results, but you can control your actions. And when those actions are taken in a certain way, results inevitably follow. Acting in a certain way transforms ordinary days into deliberate steps of creation. Each task carries meaning. Each effort builds toward a larger design. When you move through life with purpose, the world begins to respond. Opportunities emerge. Relationships shift. Conditions reorganize themselves to support your rise. In the next chapter, we will explore the mechanics of efficiency, how to multiply results far beyond effort alone, turning every action into a force of compounding growth. Chapter 9. Efficient Action. The discipline that multiplies results. Action alone is not enough. Persistence without direction produces exhaustion, not progress. The difference between those who are busy and those who rise steadily is efficiency. Efficient action is the secret that transforms effort into achievement, energy into results, and motion into momentum. Efficiency begins with a simple truth. You cannot do everything, but you can do the right things. Most people scatter themselves across tasks that carry little weight toward their vision. They answer every distraction, chase every opportunity, and waste energy on things that produce no real value. This creates the illusion of progress while keeping true growth out of reach. Efficient action is the discipline of doing what matters in the right order, with excellence, and without delay. The first key is intentional focus. Every day, identify the tasks that directly support your vision. These are not convenient tasks. They are not the tasks that feel easy or enjoyable. They are the ones that move your life forward. Guard your attention fiercely. Each interruption, each distraction carries a cost. Focus your energy where it matters most. The second key is order. Efficiency thrives on sequence. Begin with what is essential, not what is habitual or comfortable. Tasks executed in the right order multiply your results. Tasks out of order dilute progress. Order channels your effort, turning scattered energy into measurable achievement. The third key is quality. Whatever you do, do it with skill, care, and integrity. Excellence compounds. It strengthens your reputation, hones your skills, and conditions your mind for higher performance. You do not need perfection, but you do need attention. Ordinary actions performed extraordinarily well are the building blocks of lasting success. The fourth key is consistency. Efficiency is not a one-time burst of effort. It is a rhythm. It is the quiet accumulation of disciplined action day after day. Small, steady, repeated steps build unstoppable momentum. Sporadic effort may create temporary gains, but it cannot sustain growth. Efficiency thrives in the pattern of daily excellence. The fifth key is calmness. Rushed action scatters the mind and weakens judgment. Calm action focuses it. Acting from a centered state strengthens execution, sharpens decisions, and maximizes results. Calmness is not slowness. It is controlled, deliberate power in motion. The sixth key is non-resistance. Avoid complaining about tasks, circumstances, or responsibilities. Resistance drains energy and narrows perspective. Efficient people act, adapt, and focus on solutions rather than problems. Friction slows progress. Flow accelerates it. The seventh and final key is completion. An action is not truly efficient until it is finished. Many begin enthusiastically but abandon work at the first challenge. Unfinished tasks clutter the mind and erode confidence. Completion builds momentum, reinforces self-trust, and becomes the backbone of success. Efficient action transforms your relationship with time. You no longer drift. You direct. You no longer react. You choose. You do not do 100 things poorly. You do the right things well, in the right order, with deliberate focus and calm persistence. When combined with thinking in a certain way, efficient action becomes a powerful engine of growth. Your vision shapes your thoughts. Your thoughts shape your decisions. Your decisions shape your actions. Your efficient actions shape your results. In the next chapter, we will explore a principle that magnifies your influence on every person you meet. A principle that opens doors, multiplies opportunities, and silently creates pathways toward success. The impression of increase. Chapter 10. The impression of increase. Become a magnet for opportunity. Every person you meet carries a quiet, unspoken desire. The desire to grow, to expand, to become more. This desire is universal. It does not discriminate by age, status, or circumstance. Understanding this is to grasp one of the greatest laws of success. People are drawn to increase. They are instinctively attracted to whatever makes life feel larger, richer, and more meaningful. This is the essence of the impression of increase. To give the impression of increase is to communicate, through your presence, your words, your actions, and your character, that you're someone aligned with growth. Not someone merely seeking your own gain, but someone whose very presence lifts, elevates, and expands those around you. This influence is quiet yet powerful, is magnetic. The impression of increase does not come from flattery, pretense, or exaggeration. It arises naturally when your mind, heart, and life operate from a certain way, when your thoughts, actions, and purpose are aligned with faith, gratitude, and efficient action. When you live from a state of increase, people feel it. They trust it. They want to work with you, to build with you, to rise with you. Opportunity flows toward those who radiate growth. Step 1. See increase in others. Treat everyone you meet as someone capable of more. See potential where others see flaws. Recognize hidden strengths where others see limitations. When people sense that you believe in their ability to rise, they naturally step into a higher version of themselves, and they associate that rise with you. Step 2. Speak in terms of increase. Your words shape the world around you. Speak of solutions, not problems. Speak of opportunity, not scarcity. Speak from vision, not fear. Consistently point your words toward growth and possibility. When you do, people feel renewed in your presence. They begin to expect more from themselves, from life, and from the world, and anything that elevates expectation elevates experience. Step 3. Act with integrity and excellence. People trust what they see. Dependable, disciplined, and purposeful action establishes you as a stable presence in an unstable world. Reliability is rare. Excellence is rare. Together, they create an atmosphere of increase. Others feel safer, clearer, and more confident in your presence. Excellence signals readiness. It communicates capability. It attracts opportunity. Step 4. Eliminate all that diminishes. Criticism, envy, gossip, resentment, and complaint shrink influence. They darken spirit and weaken your impact. A person who engages in diminishing behavior cannot give the impression of increase. Speak with dignity. Carry yourself with quiet confidence. Rise by rising above. Elevation is contagious. Degradation is not. Step 5. Give value relentlessly. Value is not measured in money alone. Value is insight, clarity, perspective, encouragement, competence, presence, and solutions. Leave every encounter better than you found it. Small moments, words, actions calm guidance, compound over time, building a reputation that no wealth alone can buy. When you live consistently from this principle, something extraordinary happens. Doors open without force. People support you, recommend you, and trust you with opportunities you never sought. You stop chasing. Opportunity recognizes you. The world always searches quietly and unconsciously for individuals who elevate it. The result? You become a source of increase. To give the impression of increase is to step into a higher form of leadership. You draw others upward simply by existing in alignment with purpose. You become a magnet for cooperation, opportunity, and trust. Your presence becomes an engine of growth, not just for yourself, but for everyone around you. When you master this, you no longer navigate life passively. You move with confidence, decisiveness, and influence. You rise steadily while elevating everyone in your orbit. In the next chapter, we will reveal the final step in this science of wealth, how to advance with absolute certainty toward your desired abundance and maintain a state of mind that keeps you on the creative plane for life. Chapter 11. Advancing Toward Wealth. The final step. Every principle you have mastered, right thinking, efficient action, gratitude, certainty, and the impression of increase converges here in this final step. Advancement is not luck. It is not chance. It is the inevitable outcome of living in alignment with the laws of creation. When your thoughts, actions, and purpose operate on the creative plane, wealth is not something you chase. It is something that moves naturally toward you. This final step is not a trick, a gimmick, or a formula. It is a way of being, a disciplined posture of mind, and a consistent pattern of behavior that makes advancement unstoppable. Element 1. Hold your vision steadfast. Your vision is your mental North Star. It is the point around which all decisions revolve. Many begin with fire and abandon it at the first sign of resistance or delay. Growth is rarely explosive. It is steady, cumulative, earned through persistent focus, not fleeting emotion. Days of doubt, contradiction, or apparent stagnation are not failures. They are tests of alignment. Hold your vision firmly, and each challenge strengthens the very muscles that make success inevitable. Element 2. Trust the process of becoming. You do not create wealth by snapping your fingers or wishing for miracles. You create it by becoming the person capable of sustaining it. Every thought aligned with your vision, Every action performed in a certain way, every decision made with clarity shapes you into the person your future demands. Wealth is the byproduct of your transformation, your rising capability, discipline, clarity, and character. Trust this process. Let it shape you, strengthen you, and prepare you for the increase that is already on its way. Element 3. Live fully in the present. The future is built from the actions of today. Stop waiting for the perfect moment, the ideal conditions, or external validation. The present is your point of power. Excellence in a task before you today determines what will be possible tomorrow. Act now. Give your best now. Build now. Every deliberate action in the present plants the seeds of wealth for your future. Element 4. Reject the competitive mindset. Comparison is a trap. Scarcity is an illusion. You do not rise by diminishing others. You rise by creating, by expanding, by increasing. The success of another is proof that abundance exists. Your path is on the creative plane. Stay there. Focus on contribution, not competition. Expansion, not limitation. Creation, not envy. Element 5. Recognize and respond to opportunity. Opportunities rarely arrive with fanfare. They are subtle, often hidden in conversations, ideas, or quiet invitations. Alignment prepares you to see them clearly. Responsiveness ensures that when they appear, you act decisively. Hesitation weakens. Action strengthens. Readiness is the engine of advancement. Element 6. Maintain certainty and gratitude. Certainty anchors the mind. Gratitude lifts the heart. Together, they create the fertile soil in which wealth naturally grows. Certainty keeps you moving forward when results have not yet manifested. Gratitude keeps you connected to the unending flow of increase. Wealth is not a destination. It is a direction. It is a state of alignment, a continuous journey, and a reflection of the life you cultivate each day. The final truth: wealth is earned through the journey. Every day you think in a certain way, act in a certain way, live in harmony with increase, and give the impression of growth, you are already advancing. Wealth is not distant. It is unfolding now. Opportunities align more easily. Relationships deepen. Ideas sharpen. Circumstances shift in ways that mirror your inner state. This is no accident. It is the natural response of a world that increases for those aligned with increase. You now hold the framework. The blueprint is complete. The principles are clear. The path is open. The next step is simple. Walk it. Hold your vision. Act with excellence. Think with certainty. Live with gratitude. Radiate increase. Rise steadily, confidently, and inevitably into the wealth that is already unfolding for you. This is not the end. It is the beginning of a new, unstoppable chapter in your life. A life of creation, abundance, influence, and unstoppable growth. Step forward. Your wealth, your potential, and your destiny are already in motion.